Good morning, everyone. How you feeling? Good? I understand there are a number of you who got here at 6:30 this morning. We are so grateful that you are here. Thank you. So welcome to Day 3 of the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. For those of you who have traveled here from all over the world, I hope you are enjoying the Silicon Valley. I certainly know I am. Having a good time? Yeah. I actually grew up here in the Bay Area and returned to earn my law degree and my business degree right here at Stanford. So for me, this is great to be home. And I am so proud that we have the opportunity this week to expose all of you to this region's thriving innovation ecosystem. And you've brought a lot of energy to this place, so thank you very much. It's also great to expose you to this remarkable network of researchers, entrepreneurs, investors, inventors that are here in the Silicon Valley. It's also fantastic to expose you to this fabulous weather. I don't know about you, I am certainly enjoying all this. I may not return to Washington. Don't tell the boss. While Silicon Valley is known around the world for its entrepreneurial spirit, innovation, as you know, can happen anywhere. As Secretary of Commerce, I have traveled all over the United States and to more than 40 countries. And everywhere I go, whether it's New Orleans to Accra, Detroit to Kyiv, I have found exceptional entrepreneurs who are taking risks and changing their societies for the better. The United States, and the Department of Commerce in particular, has a unique role to play in ensuring that entrepreneurs all over the world have access to the support structure they need, you need, to thrive. Indeed, new businesses account for nearly all net new job creation in the United States, creating opportunity for our people and fueling our economy. That's why our department and this administration have made it a priority to share our expertise and our experience building an entrepreneurial society with our partners from around the world. One of the ways that we try to meet this charge is through a public-private partnership that we call the President's Ambassadors for Global Entrepreneurship, or PAGE, which I am very honored to chair. PAGE brings together some of America's top entrepreneurs who use their stories and their knowledge to mentor and inspire young people and startups, not only across our own country, but around the world. This morning, President Obama signed an executive order that institutionalizes the PAGE program, as well as institutionalizes our country's participation in the GES. I am really thrilled that the PAGE program and our participation in GES will continue to inspire young people and startups through the next administration and far beyond. Today, let me turn to what we're going to do today. You will have the opportunity to hear from several of our PAGE members, including Steve Case from Revolution Growth on how the Internet is transforming entrepreneurship around the world, Brian Chesky from Airbnb on the sharing economy, Daphne Kohler from Coursera on education technology, Julie Hanna from Kiva on immigrant entrepreneurs, roboticist Helen Greiner on drones, and Shark Tank's Damon John on embracing failure. And you'll hear shortly from my boss, President Obama. President Obama is a man that I am proud to call a friend, a leader I'm honored to serve as Secretary of Commerce, and a visionary who has made promoting entrepreneurship around the world a signature priority since his first year in office. I also urge you to use this final day of the summit to reach out to investors through the GES app, if you haven't already done so. Because ultimately, this summit is about more than just promoting the importance of entrepreneurship around the world. It's about making connections. I'm proud that my team has been focused on making sure investors attend the summit and that you, our entrepreneurs, have the opportunity to make key connections for greater access to capital. This year, we have almost one investor for every 2 entrepreneurs. And our goal is to give you the tools, the support, and the capital that you need to succeed. Over the next couple of days, most of you will leave the Silicon Valley and return to your home countries. I hope that you leave armed with not only the knowledge to help your business succeed, but with ideas for how to work with your own governments to create a pro-entrepreneurship culture and environment, policies and programs in your country. You have the opportunity as leaders to see what works for entrepreneurs from all over the world. So I ask you to work with the leaders of your country to invest in business incubators and churn out successful companies. Push for laws that make it easy for you to both start and close a business. Discuss the importance of policies that allow you to fail and get back up again. And remember that each of you as leaders and mentors, you have the ability to promote in your country the culture of entrepreneurship that encourages risk-taking. Every one of you has the power to be an agent of change and a champion for entrepreneurship. Finally, I have a personal ask to make of you. Once you're successful, please find a way, like our page members, to pay your knowledge forward to the next generation of entrepreneurs. Please mentor young people who can benefit from your experience, and leave the ladder down for those who wish to follow in your path. So thank you. We've got a great day ahead for you, and enjoy the summit. Thank you.
Silicon Valley is the cradle of innovation.
You know, everybody in this industry, they say they want to make this world a better place, but we could actually do it. What if we built our own company?
Don't be the guy that always asks, what if? Build something.
The volume of data moving through the system will enable the neural net to start optimizing the platform. It will actually get smarter and faster all on its own.
Okay, but see, the problem is Terminator.
What? No.
I still can't believe you gave the servers a man's name.
Sorry, I couldn't remember your mother's name.
All I care about is Nucleus is better than Pied Piper.
We need serious funding to go up against Nucleus.
I want to back you. We're getting Pied Piper out there.
This is war. I don't know about you people, but I don't want to live in a world where someone else makes the world a better place, better than we do.
There is a very real possibility that there won't be a company unless we do something about it now.
To Pied Piper's past and present.
Okay, you guys, this is it. No turning back now. What in God's name is that?
What do you think it is? It's a jacket. Once I have your sizes, we can all have them.
Why would we all want them? One is already too many. I don't mean in the house, I mean like in the world.
Please welcome the cast of HBO's hit television comedy Silicon Valley.
Yeah!
Zach Woods, also known as Jared.
Come on!
Kumail Nanjiani, also known as Dinesh.
Hello!
co-star, also known as Bill Ford.
Well done.
TJ
Hug me.
Miller,
Come
also
on,
known as
going.
Early.
Hello.
And Thomas Middleton, also known
Nice to
as
meet you.
Richard.
Yes. What's your
How's it
position?
going?
Do you have a
Hello,
investor,
everyone.
tech person,
Oh my
coding?
goodness!
Hi.
Hi,
Hello.
thank you, thank you. Great
Look
work,
at this.
everyone. You guys are
Hey,
doing great.
hi. Take as
How's
many
it
pictures as
going?
you can.
Hi, hi. How's it going? How's it going, everyone? Oh
Come
my
on,
goodness.
take some pictures.
Oh,
This
everybody's
guy.
standing.
Hi, TJ Miller. Nice
We have
to
a
meet you,
standing
TJ.
ovation.
Hi, TJ. Hi. How
Hi.
are you, TJ? Look at
Hi.
this. Here, I'm going to move through this. Excuse
Yay.
me. Hi. Hello.
Wow, my God,
hi.
look.
Just
Everybody's
excuse me.
standing for
Hello.
some
Hi.
reason.
Hey. Here we go.
Why?
Excuse us. Hi.
We did it.
Hi.
Oh,
Small hugs,
great.
side hugs.
Oh my
Hi.
God. Here.
Hello. Hi.
He's gonna.
Hey. Hi. Hi.
He's gonna
Hi.
picture of us
Hey,
taking
from
a selfie.
Bolivia. From Bolivia, we appreciate
Hi.
it. Who here is international? Round of
Hello.
applause.
Oh my God.
Nobody.
Hi.
Okay. Yeah.
How's it
There
going,
it is.
guys? What do you guys do?
You still running on Android? That's a shame. Hi.
Nice. Congratulations.
Hello. This guy just did a Snapchat.
Congratulations.
Let's all feel sorry for
Hi.
him.
Yeah.
What's that?
How's it going?
Hi,
what
everybody
are
in the
you?
balcony. Do you feel like you should have gotten here earlier?
What are you doing
Yeah. There it is. Hey.
Hi. Hello. Oh my God.
No
What's your name?
Snapchats. I'm not doing any
Hey, Miss, I'm
Snapchats.
Kamal. I'm going to talk to you from
Thank you.
stage.
Yes, of course. This is our whole thing. All we do is just take pictures and then we're going to leave. Hi. That's it. Hello. Guys, live your lives. Don't
Oh my
worry.
God.
Hi. Yes, of course. One for Greece. Yes. I want to tell you that Germany
Wow.
is really putting Greece in a
There
difficult
are
position.
so many people.
This is a big room.
Malaysia, Gulliver's Travels did great. Hi.
I do, yeah.
Hi, great. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what is
Hi.
it? No, we're not doing any Indonesia pictures right now, guys. I'm teasing. We're from the TV show. Here we go. All right, more pictures afterwards.
Should we just start without TJ then? Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, oh my God. So, by the way, two things.
A child
This
is networking right
This
now.
is
Starting
Hamish.
early.
Listen to this. This is Hamish. He's developed 4 apps. How old are you? 11. He's 11.
11.
He's 11.
So,
Hamish,
So that's not even an app a year. I mean, let's pick it up.
Yeah.
yeah, so he's a late starter.
You need to get serious about your career.
What are your apps? Tell us about your apps, Hamish.
So 3 of the 4 apps teach people about litter and what it does to the environment and oceans.
Oh, about littering. Wow.
And you, like all entrepreneurs,
That's
you
your
fittingly kind of took some time. You're like, well, the app, it integrates outside. Yeah, I like that. It seems like you got a future in this business. I like that.
So 3 of the 4 are about littering.
Yep. And
How to help people litter better, right?
Right. This is, you want us to just...
No.
I think you need to diversify your portfolio a little more. Yeah.
And then what's the remaining?
what is the fourth?
What's the 4th app?
the final one teach people about autism and strategies to deal with it.
Oh my God.
Very difficult
Beautiful.
to make fun of. Let's give him a round of
beautiful.
applause. That's great. And by the way, that's not the final app. That's one of the many that you'll continue to create. Let's give him another round of applause.
Yeah.
Hamish. I feel inadequate.
I was secretly hoping that 4th and final app would be like where to find the nearest like heavy metal show, like to go like rock out.
He
to
loves
Metallica.
heavy metal.
It's like Shazam, but for children's television. That's the only thing.
That's amazing.
Well, thank you for having us. It's such an honor to be the keynote speaker at this year's...
I think so. Should we sit over here? Do you guys want to sit?
I don't know.
Oh.
Stay forward? It's
More
okay. We
energy
can stay right
standing
here.
up here.
Yeah, the energy's good here.
So basically, we wanted to say, you guys, we're real experts. We're on a TV show about tech, so we really know what we're talking
It's
about.
literally called Silicon Valley.
So you guys, finally we're in front of a crowd that really gets us. And because we talk to most crowds and they're like, oh, you're too smart. It's going over my head. And here, even 11-year-olds have lived full lives.
I mean, this is a global conference.
So basically what we're going to do is we got a list of all the seminars here. And in case you missed some of them, since we know
Because you
kind of
can't
everything.
make all of them. You got to be in bed by 9.
Yeah.
How it goes.
Yeah, we thought we'd just maybe recap maybe some of the ones you missed, or if there's some upcoming ones. You don't even have to go to them because we got you covered here.
Yeah, so if you missed anything, we're here.
The first one we wanted to talk about is impact investing, because I guess the big question...
Houseboat or
the big
brunch?
question is, is it a houseboat or a brunch? Well, does anyone know, is it a houseboat or a brunch?
It's a brunch.
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 It's really a brunch.
Brunch!
Correct
It is a
answer.
brunch.
How many people think it's a brunch?
Okay.
No, guys, you can clap. You don't have to raise your hands. How much more tech could you be? I believe it's a houseboat. How many people, by round of applause, think it's a brunch?
Okay.
How many people, balcony, we're looking at you. How many people think
it's a houseboat?
Yeah, the brunches have it. That's what we knew that. You guys were right. Hey, Mish, do you know what we're talking about?
No.
Great. He's the only truthful person here. Okay, let's move on to...
we covered that.
Yeah.
We thought that was really interesting, that's the name of a lecture. Impact investing, houseboat, or brunch. What is more of a wealthy luxury problem than deciding between those two things? Is it a lunch that's also breakfast, or do we own a boat that we can live in?
Very relatable problems.
Should we go to blitz scaling?
Sure. Or there's also glocal is a fun one.
Martin and I have been talking a lot about glocality. Global.
Right.
So glocal, that's global and local. It's capital for SSA entrepreneurs. You know what an SSA entrepreneur is?
Sub-Saharan Africa?
Okay. Yeah!
Oh, well,
Yeah!
Yes!
Hey, Mish!
He's
hey,
developed,
Mish!
he's developed
hey, Mish!
3 more apps than all of you. You should know that right now, and he's 11. So you got to think locally, right, Martin? Or no?
What?
We got to think locally.
You have to.
So you can't think globally anymore. You can't think locally. You've got to think locally. That's right.
I think we've made ourselves pretty clear. And you have to address yourself, when you're pitching your company, you have to address yourself to everyone at all, which is both everyone and no one at all.
Everyone at all.
You would think global and local are opposites, and combining them means nothing, but you'd be wrong.
When you're thinking locally, you're thinking about entrepreneur. Entrepec, okay? That's entrepreneurship.
And summit.
And technology.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, here we got to think locally about our entrepreneurship.
Now, another topic that you guys may have missed is the secrets of Silicon Valley.
Ooh.
This is something we know a lot about.
Very exciting.
It's one of the highest rated seminars in the whole thing, because you want to get the dish.
Not as highly rated as Game of Thrones seminar, but that's okay. We're getting there.
So here's a secret of Silicon Valley.
We're each going to do a secret. Let's each tell a secret.
We'll each tell a secret.
Yeah.
I peed my pants at karate class once.
Well, I pooped my pants 2 years ago.
Are these just wet the bed stories, or?
No, it
could be anything shameful.
Okay. Well, I also wet the bed not too long ago.
Yeah.
I'm currently wetting the bed.
Right on.
And finally, I met an 11-year-old today that intimidated me.
Do you?
Those are the secrets. You guys, the president is here. All right, let's keep going.
Hey, Mish, do you watch Game of Thrones? Oh, you don't. All right, I was going to give you a bunch of stuff, but
you will soon, because we have a bunch of swag.
Oh, wow.
From Game of Thrones.
Here, he's not. This is so condescending. I'm giving. He's not like
no. Do you want? Look how much he's excited. Yes, that's for you.
You're going to give him a stuffed animal, and Hamish is thinking.
And you can watch. Well, you can learn the language of Dothraki.
Yeah.
Which is a made-up language on a show you've never watched. Here.
Which literally, if you watch that whole thing, it will get in the way of you creating another app that could save the world.
Yeah. So give that back to us.
Along with it.
And continue saving the world. Do you? Should we?
Have you seen Silicon Valley? May I ask?
No, he doesn't know it.
We don't have swag from it anyway, so.
Here.
So what is your concept of what's happening right now? You're like, why are these people here? But
he's I will own them in 5 years.
They'll be. He's like, I'm going to hire them for a corporate gig. I don't know what they're from.
I don't think he's the only one thinking what is happening right now.
Are you guys having a good time here at the
Yeah.
Global Entrepreneurship Summit? Yeah! Yes!
Here, Hamish, you want more stuff?
Okay, now we want to talk about, really quickly, there was a seminar that a lot of you may not have made, or it's in the future. We don't know.
Hamish?
We didn't prepare. But how to pitch a VC. Have you guys ever...
Oh, this is a good one. The biggest key is wear a lot of cologne and 4 or 5 different kinds if you can.
Yes.
And
On
make
different
sure-
parts of your body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Racour on the ankles.
Yeah.
Jean-Paul Gaultier on the neck.
I favor like a prison approach where you find the biggest VC in the room and hit him.
Yeah. And if you do get to him or her, make sure you talk very quietly and close. It's all
Very
about
close.
physical space and volume. So make sure you pitch your act like this.
By round of applause, how many people here are VCs that we would pitch to?
Okay. And is this not good advice? If you don't have naturally sweaty palms, just dip your hands in water before you go for a shake.
Or a little oil.
I do honey. I like to dip my whole body in honey. And I go and pitch
because it leaves an impression. If you walk away shaking a hand with someone and said, I think he likes sweets a lot, that, boom, now you're in.
Bow.
All right,
Is Frank Chen here? Frank, are you here? Yes? Where is he? Frank?
Frank's not here.
No, but we sort of need Frank to be here for this.
Guys, our time is up, and we did everything we had planned to do.
Well, let's all pitch something, not to Frank, but to you, I think, because it seems like you've really
He's
got
not
it.
a VC.
He will be.
One day.
Yeah.
Oh, will be.
No doubt.
He's going to be president of the world.
So we'll
That'll
show
be a
you
thing.
guys how to pitch, your app, your idea, your new tech, okay? And imagine that I'm wearing a lot of different types of cologne.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hey, you know what would change the world and make it a better place?
What?
Our app.
Yeah!
Woo! And
All right, that's our time.
all you have to
That's
do.
our time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
You guys have been
Enjoy
wonderful.
the President of the
Thank
United
you.
States.
Thank you.
Come on, you get more. There you are.
Bye, Hamish.
Bye, guys.
Thank you guys so much. Continue to invest in the future of tech worldwide. Think locally, not locally.
Please welcome Steve Case, co-founder of AOL and chairman of Revolution, and the 4 winning entrepreneurs. The Obvious Ventures Award winner, a $50,000 cash prize, Stephanie Spears from Solstice. The first place Spark the Fire Champion Award winner, a $30,000 cash prize from World Bank Group, Neil Petachai Deskrysic of Siam Organic. The first runner-up, Spark the Fire Catalyst Award winner, a $20,000 cash prize from Omidyar Network, Oded Bendov of Sesame and Able. And the second runner-up, Spark the Fire Startup winner, who earned a $15,000 cash prize from Microsoft, Kenya Mattis of Listen Me.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's going to be a great day. Obviously, started off with some fun from the Silicon Valley cast, and we're going to have a great morning, of course, culminating with President Obama. But this is a great session because these 4 entrepreneurs 24 hours ago didn't know they were going to be on stage. They won some prize competitions, and so they went from thinking they were going to be in the audience to suddenly being on the stage. And the focus is really going to be hearing their stories and trying to figure out ways you can all help them take their ideas to the next step. But just a few minutes just to kick it off to set the context. First of all, I want to thank Secretary Pritzker, who's really the point person on entrepreneurship for the administration, as well as Secretary Kerry, who did such a great job yesterday in laying the framework for why this is so important, not just for the United States, but for the world. And I'm also, of course, grateful for President Obama. His first few months in office, he really made a priority around in Cairo around entrepreneurship. This is the 6th Entrepreneurship Summit. I've had the opportunity to be at several of them, including last year in Africa, and it's really been a priority. He also asked me to chair an initiative within the United States called the Startup America Partnership. So he's really made a priority around encouraging entrepreneurship and really trying to make sure it's more, the playing field's leveled and entrepreneurs everywhere have a shot. We're sitting in Silicon Valley, and everybody is proud of Silicon Valley, some even envious of Silicon Valley. But as you think about your country and where you came from, it's worth remembering 2 things. First of all, 75 years ago, Silicon Valley was fruit orchards. It was nothing. But people came together, created a network. There was a sense of hope and possibility, a lot of invention, including much coming from this campus here at Stanford. And Silicon Valley rose from being farms to being this epicenter of innovation, which proves that can happen in your country as well. And even more broadly, it's worth remembering that 250 years ago, America itself was a startup. It was just an idea. And it became the leader of the free world because it has the leading economy because of the work of entrepreneurs, first in the agricultural revolution, then the industrial revolution, and more recently the technology revolution. So all the countries, 170 countries represented here, are on the rise. We call the rise of the rest. We're seeing entrepreneurship both regionalize and globalize, and that's why it's so exciting to see so many faces here, including a diverse mix of faces. The youngest person I met so far was a 16-year-old woman from Jordan. Just a reminder that entrepreneurship is alive and well everywhere, and as long as we all do what we can to level the playing field so everybody with an idea, no matter where they are, no matter who they are, who they know or don't know, has a shot at creating that company that could change the world. This is going to be a better world. But enough of that backdrop. Now let's get to the main event. As I mentioned, these four entrepreneurs are coming from four different countries, and they each have remarkable stories. So I want to kick it off with each giving the elevator pitch in terms of what they're doing, and then we'll open it up for questions. And I also should say that the prizes came from four entities: Obvious Ventures, Microsoft, Omidyar, and the World Bank. So we're grateful for those competitions. Let's kick it off. Let's kick it off with Stephanie, who won the prize from Obvious. Tell us a little bit about your company.
Thank you, Steve. My name is Steph Spears, and I'm a co-founder of an organization called Solstice. So right now in America, solar is cheap enough that it can save everyone in America money on their electricity bill. Thank you. There's just one problem, though, is that most people in America cannot get solar because they're a renter, or there's a tree covering their roof, or their roof faces the wrong way, or they're low income. So 80% of America cannot install solar on top of their roof and are locked out of the market. So Solstice has a solution, and we call it community solar. Community solar means you don't have to install anything on your roof. You can buy a portion of a neighborhood shared solar farm, and you can switch to solar that way. And there's no upfront cost, and you save 10% off your electricity bill every single month. And the fact of the matter is we're never going to make a dent on climate change until we get more people affordable solar power. So thank you so much to Obvious Ventures. They invest in world-positive companies that try to tackle the world's biggest problems and do it sustainably and profitably. So thank you so much for this honor. We're imagining an America that's filled with solar arrays, and we hope you can join us in doing that. Thank you.
Terrific. All right, next up, Neil, the prize from the World Bank, coming from Thailand. Tell us your story.
So my name is Neil from Thailand. About 5 years ago, I was an MBA student, and I had this idea of creating a company that would change the world. So in another word, I was just a kid with a big dream. Thailand is the world's #1 rice exporter, but our farmers are also among the poorest in the world, earning only 40 cents per day. That's 6 times below the poverty line, and this is impacting 17 million farmers in Thailand. So I created Siam Organic, which uses farming management and innovative organic product, which I brought with me, which is called jasmine rice, which has 3 times higher antioxidant than blueberry. So through this innovation, we've been able to take the income from 40 cents a day to over $6, an increase of 14 times. Thank you. So I'm currently working with over 1,000 farming households, and our plan is to go up to 20,000 households in the next 3 years. I'm honored to be here to represent those all over the world that deserve an opportunity at life. Thank you.
All right. Now let's switch to Israel, and this is the prize from the Omidyar Network. Oded.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Oded from Israel. I come from a technology background, and I got to demonstrate a game we developed on TV that was controlled using head gestures, computer vision. And I get a phone call the very next day, and the guy on the line says, "Hi, I can't move my hands or legs. Could you make me a smartphone I could use?" And that was Giora, who's today my co-founder and partner at Sesame Enable. And we created a world's first touch-free smartphone designed for people who are paralyzed, people with spinal cord injury, cerebral palsy, ALS. And we've had children play Angry Birds for the first time in their lives. So that was the moment, yeah.
And last but certainly not least, from Jamaica, the prize was coming, this one, from Microsoft, Kenya.
Thank you so much, Steve. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Kenya Mattis from Jamaica. I'm CEO of Listen Me Caribbean Limited, and my background is a little bit different. I'm actually a songwriter and a writer at heart. So just to be here and to have an MBA that gave me the opportunity to launch into the entrepreneurial space is really huge for me. And I have a passion for helping kids learn their own mode of self-expression. However, I found that 30% of kids in Jamaica actually are struggling with their grade 4 literacy tests. And in the Caribbean, in some countries, up to 40% are underperforming or failing at literacy. So I used my creative background to work with educators to develop an interactive web app that is using neurolinguistic cues, baking them into animations and games, and helping kids to boost their spelling scores from as low as 40% up to 100% in just 20 minutes of engagement. So really passionate about this innovation and seeing how we can expand this not only to the Caribbean, but to other countries in the world where we really need to have kids reading, writing, and expressing themselves and have 100% literacy in the world.
All right. Well, first of all four were great elevator pitches, crisp to the point, and made it clear why they were doing what they were doing. And I think it's also a great reflection of the diversity of people and places and ideas, energy, education, disabilities, a lot of different food, a lot of different things. But the story about what you're doing is part of it. The other story that's always interesting is the entrepreneurial journey and why are you doing it? What is driving you? What's your passion? What's your purpose? And we talked last night, you mentioned you were started as a songwriter. How did you get from being a songwriter to being an entrepreneur?
I feel so much at home in the booth with artists and giving them a voice as well. A lot of times we have talents, but it's just a matter of how to communicate our message. And I found that when I work with children, which is a big part of my passion, that they have a similar experience too. How do you help kids tell their own stories? So I guess my business is almost modeled off of me. I'm a creative, but I also love solving problems as well. And that's why I decided I was going to study business, study entrepreneurship, and find a way to scale my talent and apply that and affect the lives of millions of people. So that's really my vision and why I'm doing this today.
And Oded, one of the benefits of GES, obviously, is the opportunity to meet people, bump into each other, and had the opportunity, which is pretty good for a guy focused on Android, to meet the Google CEO backstage. But how did you get interested in this? Obviously, you're passionate about trying to kind of level the playing field in terms of people who have disability. What drove this? What triggered that?
So for me, I didn't know anyone with disabilities up to the point that Giora called me up. And if Star Wars good versus evil is a real scale, then I was always on the good side. And when he called, I knew that was a calling for my skills and know-how. So that's the hard side of it. And the brain side is gesture technology has been around. It's been tried by all the big companies who are here, and nothing has yet to stick, except Connect Microsoft, and that's awesome. And what we're dealing with is a solid use case. He can't use his hands, he can move his head. That's business school 101.
Right. So you want to feed the world, empower farmers. What was the trigger there? When did you kind of focus on that, and why are you so passionate about it?
Well, I was doing my MBA, and I was thinking about what I was going to do next. You know, I had been an environmental engineer, I had been an investment banker, so I had been doing a lot of different things, and I thought, you know, I wanted to do something that is meaningful to me. And I was lucky that I've learned about these farmers, and I went to spend a year with them, living in their homes right after MBA. And I found that most of these farmers were smarter than me, they were more hardworking than me, and you know, they really work so hard to get a better life, and they never have an opportunity. So after a year of spending time with them, I realized that it's time to do something about it. So that's how I got started.
Good for you. And finally, Steph, on your passion on energy, where'd that come from?
My father was a failed entrepreneur, and so my whole life I never wanted to be one.
Oh.
I had only seen the bad parts of it, and because the business failed, we actually grew up on welfare. And because we are on welfare, my mom eventually left my father and raised us on her own. And so I spent my entire life watching my mom struggle to pay the bills, including the electricity bills. And I came to realize that sometimes being an entrepreneur is not about starting your own thing. It's about looking around in the world, seeing there's a need and a gap to be filled, and no one else is filling it, and feeling that urgency that you have to do it because it needs to be done. And so I was really lucky to have an incredible co-founder. His name is Steve Moylan, and he's not here, but he just turned 30, so everyone wish Steve happy birthday for me.
Pretty good birthday present, being on the main stage.
And an incredible team at Solstice that it makes it a pleasure to work every day there, and it's work that doesn't feel like work. And we are trying to make sure that everyone in America can get solar power regardless of how much money they earn, regardless of what type of roof they have, and hopefully we'll get there.
Terrific. So another purpose of this Global Entrepreneurship Summit is to not just meet people, but figure out ways to connect with people that can lead to partnerships or can lead to investment or other kinds of things. So I'd like to quickly go around and say, if you had one wish, one hope in terms of what you'd hope comes out of being here this week and certainly being here this morning, and maybe one thing that people in this audience might be able to be helpful on, what would that, if you got like a magic ticket and that dream could come true, what would that be? Is it investment? Is it a partnership? Is it help with people? Is it help with customers? Is it publicity? It could be anything, but if you picked one thing, what would it be? And then hopefully everybody in the audience will think how they can be helpful in making those dreams come true. Why don't we start with you, Kenya?
I'd like to say that personally as a Jamaican, we often need to remember that we are a part of a much larger community. It's not just being a part of a small country. We are a part of the African diaspora. So having so many persons here from the African network is really very good, because we're finding that we're suffering from the same problems as well. I'd love to reach out to more persons who would like to have interactive content in their schools, not only in the African diaspora, but in other inner city communities across the world, where we'd want to also address the problem of literacy. I'd love to partner with teachers who want to have content that's customized to your syllabus. And I'd love to partner with providers who would love to distribute content to their spaces. I find that once we're in this space, we are able to, the ideas are just exploding here, and I'm really loving the energy that we're getting, and that I'm able to help anyone else who's here to achieve those same goals. That's really what my drive is here today.
Great, terrific. Dad? What's the dream? What's the request? What's the ask?
So for us, we've got great partners already along the way. Google.org donated a bunch of money to make the technology available in Israel to anyone. But right now I've been working a month on a slide deck because we're starting a Series A. So I'm going to try something and maybe announce on live television that we're looking for Series A. So if you're interested, raise your hand and come see us. I'd love to talk to everyone. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think as a social enterprise, we often misunderstood. People look at us and they say, well, you're not a charity, so we're not going to give you any money because you make profit. And the impact investor look at us and go, well, you're investing way too much in the social return. So, we often stuck, and right now I'm looking for 2 partnerships. One is on the consumer product side. I just had a distributor from Walmart visited my operation 2 weeks ago. And the challenge of delivering to a company like Walmart or Whole Foods is quite big for a small company. And when we look at the supply side, the farmers and the factory that they run, they need over like $10 million of financing, of debt financing. So I'm really running around, trying to find financing for these farmers. So it's definitely a big challenge, but I'm looking forward to partnering with an organization that understands how to solve poverty, really, the depth of it, using different financial instruments, and not just equity, debt, but something creative to help these people.
All right, investors out there, we got 2 requests. Steph.
Well, it bears saying that we too are raising a seed round. And thank you to Obvious Ventures for investing in us. But I think if I'm talking about equity, the more important equity that I think I would love people to walk away with is this idea of energy equity. And it's this idea that, we're going to see in our lifetimes a dramatic change in the way we get electricity. For the first time in probably over 100 years, we will get our electricity differently in our generation than we have in the history of America. And the clean energy transition will happen. The question is whether it will happen inclusively. The question is whether everyone will get to benefit from the green economy. And so, yes, we're raising a seed round, but more importantly, please know that energy equity is an issue in this country. And you can help us, but you can help a lot of other good organizations that are working on it. And we have to make this green transition happen as inclusively as possible.
Terrific. So as I said earlier, 170 countries are represented. Some have more fully developed entrepreneurial ecosystems, certainly the United States, particularly Massachusetts. There are many parts of the United States that don't, what we call the rise to rest. That there are lots of places that need more of what Silicon Valley has, but Massachusetts is doing well. And Israel, as a startup nation, is showing real progress. But there are challenges in Jamaica. There are challenges in Thailand, which are not quite as developed. They are developing. They are rising. So I want to ask the two of you, start with you, Kenya. What are the extra challenges you as an entrepreneur being in Jamaica have, and how, if you were talking to the leadership of your country, what would the request be in terms of how they can help support you and your fellow entrepreneurs, and in the process not just help your companies be successful, but lift up Jamaica as a more entrepreneurial nation?
Oh my gosh. First of all the entrepreneurs from Jamaica, can I just see you wave your hands to me, please? Thank you very much, ladies. Everybody else from the Caribbean, from the world, if you are listening right now, I just really want to say, first of all, it is a journey, as you rightfully point out, Steve. And I'm very aware that although we're not as advanced as other countries are, we are getting there. However, there are some issues as it relates to access to capital. When we're working, especially in the creative industries, you cannot use intellectual property to leverage the growth of your company. And so how do I really place a value on that so that I can scale quickly? It's really very difficult. I have to look to external markets. I have to look to validation from other countries before I can really sort of take that innovation home and then scale. So having a platform like this, I would love for us to take a look at the creative industries as a space that is not just about expression and creativity, but creating real value, social impact, and boosting education so that we can then address proper issues that we're facing and help our children to grow. And as I said, 100% literacy is achievable. Other countries are far on their way. We just need to be more creative in our solutions.
Great. Neil, from your perspective on Thailand.
Okay, so I'm hoping that this is not shown in Thailand after this event. Okay?
Well,
so whoever
I'm not sure I'd just make that assumption. I believe it's being live streamed globally on this internet thing. But go ahead anyway.
Go ahead anyway.
Be fearless.
Yeah, okay. So thank you, Steve. Thank you for that. Now, I totally forgot what I was going to say. It's a big challenge because I'm actually advising the government on the Thai Social Enterprise Office, tackling the problem of poverty, health, and education in Thailand. And one of the big hurdles we find is I attend meetings with the government every month, and nothing gets done. And So, I think my message in terms of public-private partnership, definitely in the developing world, is that really the entrepreneurs, they are the ones who are passionate about solving this problem. They're the ones who are passionate about changing the world. Let them go to work and, build a regulation in a way that it has flexibility for these people to make that impact. And I think, the government role in the United States is fantastic. They support you. So they're not really the gatekeeper. And I hope that in the developing world, we'll learn from your example and really, let these people go to work so they can work,
Yeah.
Stay out of the way.
It's a great message, and all those folks watching and the leadership in Thailand. Just do it. Just do it. But it's also something that many of your countries are facing. There are many challenges. There will be regulatory challenges, sometimes even corruption challenge, or infrastructure challenge, or investment challenge, or talent challenge. There's a whole series of challenges. And the whole point of shining a spotlight on global entrepreneurship is to try to help as many countries and many places rise up and support the next generation of entrepreneurs that are going to create the jobs, that are going to create that hope and that sense of that opportunity. So it's a big challenge. Maybe after we finish and go backstage, you can talk to Secretary Pritzker and Secretary Kerry and President Obama and ask them to make some calls on behalf of you and the other folks. But I have time for one more question before this. I have some final thoughts. I want to turn the tables a little bit. If you were trying to give advice to the people in the audience, as an entrepreneur, the experiences you had, your story, your journey, what would your bit of advice be to the entrepreneurs in this room, and indeed the entrepreneurs watching all over the world? Steph, why don't we start with you?
Thanks, Steve. My favorite advice that President Obama has given interns at the White House is, it is more important to do something than want to be something. And I take that every day in the work. I think sometimes it can be easy to overemphasize the entrepreneur, and everyone, it's very, hyped up right now. It's very chic right now to be an entrepreneur. But really what makes organizations survive or fail are the teams and the people in it. And so while there is an overemphasis on entrepreneurs, what we should be more focusing on is employee number 1, employee number 2, employee number 3, 4, 5, and making sure we recruit great people and that we retain them and keep the organization operationally functional. And so I would say that, as a lot of people have given advice on this stage, like, don't give up, and that is true. We have been rejected from so many things. I can't even tell you. The CV of failure is pages long. But focus on the team, and if you focus on the work, then it really does. Everything else just kind of happens and falls into place if you focus on these two things.
So people and kind of recognizing entrepreneurship as a team sport. Neil?
Yeah, well, actually, this is why I was even on the first day about luck. People often hear, they got a lot of luck, Alibaba, Jack Ma, and so forth. But luck is what they told us on the first day is readiness plus opportunity. If you're in this room, you have plenty of opportunity. But readiness, what does that mean? My message, I guess, to all the other entrepreneurs is get ready so that when you have an opportunity, you can deliver. I made Whole Foods three years ago for the first time, and they said, "Great, Neil, we love your product." And I went back to the operation, and I said, wow, it's going to take me like 1.5 years to deliver this. So I said, I wasted that opportunity 3 years ago because I wasn't ready. So now, before, I got in touch with Walmart, I made sure that I spent 2 years getting ready. So I think the message is it takes time to get ready. Yes. It's not 1 day, 1 week. Sometimes it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. But don't be afraid to get ready. And then when you meet people, this is the place, and that's my message.
So really, it's the idea that by being prepared, if you're more prepared, working harder, you tend to get luckier. Your opportunities open up, and it's also reminded of a famous American entrepreneur and inventor, Thomas Edison, who a century ago said, "Vision without execution is hallucination." Having the idea is important, the vision is important, but the execution is important as well. Oded?
So I'm going to use a tip I got from a very good mentor of mine. And this tip needs to be taken with a grain of salt. But basically what he said is, don't listen to anyone. Again, so feedback is great and important, but you're the entrepreneur, you know where you're going, you know the vision, you have the heart, the passion, and there'll be so many people telling you no in so many ways, and persevere and do what you believe in.
So believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Listen to other people, but don't necessarily
do
what they say.
Right.
Last but not least.
Steve, I'm actually going to make reference to what you just told me a while ago because it really does resonate with me, and it has to do with partnerships. In looking back at how far I've come now, I could not have done it with a few core people who've expanded and grown into a solid team. And we're in a perfect space right now to make some really solid partnerships with people who believe in our vision, people who can also help us to scale even further. And I think that sometimes we're afraid to share what we're doing and we're holding on to the idea and we're protecting it. But if it's really good and you share it, it just blossoms into something even more beautiful and greater. So I think sharing and partnerships are really important.
Terrific. All right, before we close, the final thoughts, but I also want to ask my fellow Page ambassadors to stand up and be recognized. I think they're all standing over here. Thank you for everything you're doing with your businesses and how you're helping inspire the world in all the different things you're doing. Two final kind of thoughts before we adjourn, and there's a lot more to come, as you know. First, it's worth remembering that Silicon Valley is not just a place, it's also an idea and a network and a way of thinking. So as you go back to your countries, trying to replicate Silicon Valley is difficult, perhaps even impossible, but trying to learn some of the lessons of Silicon Valley, including this fearlessness and this belief in the art of the possible, that is something that can inspire communities, indeed countries all around the world. And the final, I want to leave you with the 5 Ps that I've found are particularly interesting and I think are worth watching in the next decade. The first is place. This Global Entrepreneurship Summit is a sign that entrepreneurship is both expanding regionally around the country and also expanding globally. And while Silicon Valley and New York City and Massachusetts, other parts of our country will continue to do well, we'll see entrepreneurship really flourish all across this country and all across the world. So place is going to become much more important. Purpose is going to become much more important. And many of these, like all 4 of these stories, are an example of that. These are purpose-driven companies that really want to have an impact world. Of course they're businesses, of course they want to be successful, of course they want to be profitable, of course they want to be valuable, but what you heard from all 4 of these entrepreneurs is the meaning, the purpose, the impact they're trying to have is much more important. There's a whole new generation of entrepreneurs that are focused on purpose and focused on impact and are really inspiring all of us all around the world with those ideas. The third P is partnerships. I think this next wave of innovation in all these different sectors, food, energy, education, healthcare, all these different sectors and many other things folks in this room are working on are going to require more partnerships. And the second wave of innovation in the internet was mostly about software and apps. The third wave is integrating it throughout our lives, and you can't go it alone. There's an African proverb that I think really should inspire all of us. If you want to go quickly, you can go alone, but if you want to go far, you must go together. So the spirit of partnerships is very important. Also policy. We've heard this several times, that the role of governments around the world to set the stage for entrepreneurship and make sure the regulations are right in each of these sectors as we move into this new third wave, I think is going to be very important. It's very important for entrepreneurs, even though they're busy building their businesses and sometimes scared of government and sometimes mad at regulations, to engage in a constructive way to make sure that we really do make sure entrepreneurship is available to everybody. And finally is this idea you heard several times around perseverance, that revolutions often happen in evolutionary ways. You got to stick with it. My own story with the founding of America Online, AOL, 31 years ago. At the time, only 3% of people in this country were online, on average 1 hour a week. So we said we wanted to get America on, get the world online. It was hard. It was a slog. And for a decade, it didn't look like we were going to make it. We had 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You had a lot of near-death experiences, as I'm sure many of you are having. But if you believe in your idea and you have a team that's passionate about that idea, sticking with it and persevering is critical. So I'll leave you those 5 Ps. And please join me in thanking these 4 terrific entrepreneurs that are representing the future of entrepreneurship. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Please welcome Google CEO Sundar Pichai.
Thank you. Thank you to the President for convening the Global Entrepreneurship Summit and to Stanford for hosting. We at Google are proud to be supporting this summit, and we are passionate about entrepreneurship. This is such an important issue for our company, but also for our country and for a community of entrepreneurs around the world. At Google, entrepreneurship is in our DNA. Google was founded here at Stanford, and the company's first home was in a garage just a couple miles from here. Like many of you in the audience, our founders were two young people with a vision of a better future, a better way, and they decided to follow their dreams. We now live on our own campus down the road and in dozens of countries, but the spirit continues. In fact, our most popular products almost all began as big ideas that small entrepreneurial teams dreamed up and made happen. Gmail started with one person's passion to reinvent email. Today, it has over 1 billion monthly active users. Our browser Chrome, a small team's obsession to bring a faster, more secure web to everyone, now has over 1 billion monthly active users. Cardboard, our virtual reality viewer, two engineers in our Paris office had an idea of what's possible with a piece of cardboard and a phone. Now more than 5 million viewers are taking people to new worlds. Using Cardboard, teachers can take their classes on virtual field trips from the Great Barrier Reef to Machu Picchu. First Lady Michelle Obama made this part of her Reach Higher Education initiative. More than 1 million students from 11 countries have gone on virtual field trips. And today, we are making Cardboard available to LGBTQ centers around the world so people who cannot physically attend Pride parades and festivals this weekend can still have the Pride experience. All of this came from two engineers in Paris' bright idea. We don't know what's next or where it'll come from, but we know that the barriers to entrepreneurship and to bringing ideas to global audiences are tumbling. People working anywhere in the world, born anywhere in the world, can create a product and make it available to anyone in the world. The most used messaging app in Southeast Asia was built by a young man born in Ukraine who moved to the US. And the three most popular viral games in the US in recent years came from entrepreneurs in Finland, Ireland, and Vietnam. You're the ones building the next Google, the next Spotify, the next Tesla, the next, well, we don't even know, but what I know is that someone in this room will build it. Maybe someone even from the cast of Silicon Valley. Let me tell you a little bit about my personal journey to Silicon Valley from India 22 years ago. Growing up in India, like many of you, I got my first telephone when I was 12. In my case, it turned out to be a rotary phone, so it wasn't that great for selfies, but I still loved to call my friends, play with it, and sometimes take it apart. That telephone cemented my fascination with technology. I remember in my parents' house in Chennai reading about the invention of the transistor at Bell Labs. Of course, that initial invention helped found what became known as Silicon Valley, and out of that came companies like Fairchild Semiconductor and Intel, and all the computers and software that we all use today. You can draw a direct line from that invention to the technology that powers your Twitter feed or your WeChat messages today. I remember reading about that and thinking, it's the idea that matters. It didn't matter where you come from or what your background is. One revolutionary idea, one brilliant invention can unleash other entrepreneurs to revolutionize industries in ways you could never predict. The people who build the transistor in many ways enable the entrepreneurs who are using incredible processing power to analyze data and diagnose cancer. In the same way, the invention of smartphones and GPS has enabled other companies to build apps that revolutionize the way we travel around cities. That's why I came here. I had a deep desire to be part of this exchange of ideas, this community of entrepreneurs. And coming to the global hub where this was all happening, at Stanford, I felt welcomed and embraced. People didn't care where I came from, only my ideas and hard work mattered. I'm not alone. The Valley attracts people from all over the world. That is why you're here. I'm excited that over 700 entrepreneurs from over 170 countries are joining us here today. The possibility that anyone with the right idea at the right time can have an impact on others that is no longer limited to a single place. It's possible everywhere. What we are seeing now is an unprecedented global opportunity. In China, a few months ago, I met entrepreneurs combining social, commerce, and business platforms in entirely new and unique ways. And earlier, I mentioned a game built by an entrepreneur from Vietnam. When I was last in Vietnam, I met him. His name is Dong Nguyen, and he created Flappy Bird. He was a developer from Hanoi who wanted to create simple games, non-violent games, that reminded him of why he fell in love with gaming in the first place. And it quickly became one of the world's most downloaded games for Android and iPhones. Great ideas in technology no longer come from just Silicon Valley. They can and do come from anywhere. And now they can quickly reach scale. I see hubs growing all over the world: Germany, Brazil, UK, Israel, China. The latest figures say that 21% of adults across 60 countries intend to start a business in the next 3 years. And there are over 200 million women around the world who are starting or running a business. It's clear that Silicon Valley is now as much an idea as a place, and it is an ideal of what's possible. And those of us who are lucky enough to have benefited from being in Silicon Valley or hubs like it owe it to the world to set a good example and clear a path for others. And that is another reason I'm excited to be here speaking to you. Because businesses, academia, and governments all play an important role in removing these barriers. The internet itself is a perfect example of this. It's arguably the greatest economic engine of all time. And its success is largely a result of early collaboration between the US government, the private sector, and researchers from academic institutions, including Stanford. They worked together and made deliberate policy choices to keep the platform open and borderless. The course of history shows that this open model can unleash innovation, opportunity, and benefits for people everywhere. In India, another early and insightful decision was to create the Indian Institutes of Technology. These are leading engineering and technical institutions that are government-supported. I still vividly remember as a teenager jumping onto a crowded train at Chennai and traveling for 24 hours to attend my school at IIT Kharagpur. And that opportunity changed the course of my life. These institutions, over many decades, have played a huge role in creating generations of skilled entrepreneurs in India. There are many countries helping to create positive environment for their entrepreneurs. In the US, recently the Departments of State and Commerce appointed digital economy officers who will work to remove barriers and help entrepreneurs reach communities around the world. At Google, we are committed to playing our part to foster the next generation of entrepreneurs. Our Google for Entrepreneurs team has established a number of campuses. These provide space for entrepreneurs to build and work together in major tech hubs to take their ideas and go global. We have opened campuses in London, Madrid, Sao Paulo, Seoul, Tel Aviv, and we look forward to reaching new cities in the future, and perhaps welcoming some of you to drop by. Google tools help businesses launch and grow every day. More than 30 million small businesses globally rely on at least one Google product to find customers, to grow, and to be productive. Training. We are also committed to train 5.5 million people on digital skills, investing over $140 million during the past year. In the next year, we aim to provide free digital skills training to 1 million young people in Africa alone. I know how much hard work it takes to pursue your dream of building a business. The long hours, time away from family, the rejection, the ideas you know are brilliant that just don't seem to catch on. There is a great quote from Thomas Edison that does the best job of defining what it's like to be an entrepreneur. I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that don't work. Everyone here is part of a tradition that stretches all the way back to Edison and up to companies like Google today. It's about more than building apps to make money. It's about transforming industries, creating millions of jobs, curing diseases, fighting global warming, and making our schools richer environments for our children. So I hope you enjoy your time here in Silicon Valley, and I hope you find the summit invigorating, and that when you get home, it encourages you to continue building. We are all looking to you, the world is counting on you, and we can't wait to see what you build next. Thank you.
Since 2010, the Global Entrepreneurship Summit has brought together the best innovators, thinkers, social entrepreneurs, and investors to a different region of the world. We've come together to foster economic development, to promote health, especially for women and children, and to advance the work that brings you here today, the entrepreneurship that creates jobs and opportunity. We do all this because we believe that whether you live in Kuala Lumpur or Kuwait or Kansas City, when you're free to have your own ideas, pursue your dreams, start your own businesses, serve your communities, it isn't just good for your nations. It means more prosperity and progress for us all. The United States hosts the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, this time in the birthplace of modern innovation, Silicon Valley.
For me, an entrepreneur is a person that possesses the ability to both think creatively outside of the box and be able to execute on that vision.
It's an attitude. It's not a person, it's an attitude.
One of the critical things that an entrepreneur has to have to be successful is being a learning machine.
Above all else, I think they need to be relentlessly resourceful.
An entrepreneur needs grit and perseverance.
Here's a barrier, but instead of being discouraged by it, I'm going to figure out some way to get around it or get over it or just knock that barrier down and keep going.
One person alone doesn't accomplish much. It's actually a group of people.
Get people behind you to believe in you and believe in your ideas and build a tribe.
Every Batman needs a Robin, and I have a house filled of Robins.
That's an excellent question.
I can't imagine
that. Bleakness, stagnation.
What would the world be like without Henry Ford or the Wright brothers, without Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates?
I remind people that even in the United States 250 years ago, it itself was a startup. It was just an idea.
It's got to be the thing that gets you up every morning, that you can't stop thinking about, you can't stop talking about. It can't just be one of those, oh, that's a cool idea, maybe I should do that. It's got to feel like a life calling.
You have to ask yourself every day, who is smarter than me out there working on this problem, and what do I have uniquely that they don't have? And not just in your local market, but on a global scale.
Entrepreneurs by definition are creating opportunities that didn't exist before, so you need to be comfortable risking the unknown.
You're not going to have a big success if you're not really willing to take some risks, because the reality is the status quo is the status quo for a reason.
Without risk-taking, you don't have innovation. Because innovation is fundamentally about experimenting and trying things out. So it destigmatizes this idea of failure and turns it into a path of learning.
Try something. It may or may not work. Just try it. And if it doesn't work, learn quickly and iterate and improve.
You won't know how you can flourish unless you take risk, unless you take chances, but affordable chances, affordable risks, things that you can recover from. Your vision might not be understood immediately. It might upset people.
So you are going to face no
thanks.
No, thank you.
We don't think this will work.
We're sorry.
We're sorry.
We're not interested.
It's not what we're looking for.
You have to have faith in your idea.
You have to be able to face that rejection and move beyond it.
The word no, or even the word failure, is just part of the journey of success.
The no's become increasingly less as the yeses become increasingly more.
People have at their disposal many ways to connect with other people via social media and other similar channels.
Building ecosystems of networks where you can meet people that are like-minded is the recipe for success for entrepreneurs.
It's upon us and behooves us to make sure that we maintain those connections, that we deepen those connections.
The more diversity of experience and background that we have, the greater diversity of problems and challenges we will address.
I mean, the cool thing about entrepreneurs is that they're entrepreneurs.
If it was just that easy, then everybody would be doing it.
Believe in yourself, and you know deep down that what you're doing is important.
Never give up. Keep fighting. Eventually, you'll break through.
You have to just have faith that success is right around the corner.
It's never a clear path. It's never easy. You just have to keep working at it.
Never, ever, ever give up trying to create the future that you want to live in.
When one door closes, another one always opens.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The session will be starting momentarily. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The session will be starting momentarily. Please welcome the president of Stanford University and our venue host of the 2016 Global Entrepreneurship Summit, John Hennessy.
Welcome and good morning. It is a unique privilege to host the Global Entrepreneurship Summit at Stanford this year. I hope you're enjoying our campus and this great weather we have. It's pretty nice. It is my great honor to introduce President Barack Obama. This is the second time we've welcomed President Obama to Stanford. The first time he was here in 2015 for the White House Summit on cybersecurity. He enjoyed himself so much that he said he'd like to go here. Well, Mr. President, I noticed that after January you are available. And as Secretary Pritzker pointed out, the weather's pretty nice here, so we hope to get back to California. President Obama has a deep understanding of the importance of innovation and entrepreneurship, two characteristics that have distinguished this university since its founding 125 years ago. He came into office just after the 2008 global economic crisis, and throughout his presidency, he has sought ways to encourage entrepreneurship and stimulate innovation. From providing support for startups, to launching mentorship programs, to investing in technological advancements such as biotechnology, advanced manufacturing, and clean engineering. From increasing federal funding for research and development, including big investments in the BRAIN Initiative and the Big Data Initiative. And he's led the change for educational reform. In working to strengthen the American economy, President Obama has built bridges globally, looking for ways to build economic prosperity that is the foundation for a secure future for everyone around our world. And the President and his cabinet have clearly articulated the need for greater diversity, both in the tech community and among our entrepreneurs, a call recently echoed throughout Silicon Valley. All of us in higher education appreciate the importance of a diverse workforce. At Stanford, recent efforts to make computer science more approachable and attractive for women has led to computer science becoming the fastest growing major for women at Stanford. But I think that's only the beginning. Our entire educational system will continue to have to reform and devote itself to achieving greater diversity across our workforce. Like Secretary Kerry, we also believe that an entrepreneurial mindset, including its constituent characteristics of creativity, collaboration, bold leadership, smart risk-taking, are important in all walks of life, especially as we educate young people who will need to address the massive global challenges we have around the world. This is President Obama's 7th annual Global Entrepreneurship Summit, and we are tremendously honored that he has chosen to hold it at Stanford University. Please join me in warmly welcoming the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Everybody have a seat. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Well, that's a good-looking group. Thank you. Well, first of all, let me thank President Hennessy for the introduction and the entire Stanford family for letting us take over the campus for a few days. As some of you know, John is stepping down after 16 years as president of Stanford. 4 Fortunately for me, I cannot do that to just stick around longer than my term limit. John, I'm sure there's some people who want you to stick around longer, but I'm confident that you're going to do extraordinary things, and we could not be prouder of John Hennessy and Stanford and all the great work that they have done. So please give him a big round of applause. Now, it's summer break. Just so all of you know, Stanford is not always this quiet. This school is unique. Folks ride on bicycles everywhere. And athletes are also computer engineers. This is the place that made nerd cool. So we are thrilled to be here. I know that I am not the first speaker that you've heard from, but many of you have traveled here from a long ways. We got more than 170 countries from every region of the world represented. Some of you, this is the first time you are visiting our country, so let me just say on behalf of the American people, not only welcome to our Global Entrepreneurship Summit, but welcome to the United States of America. We are glad to have you. I am not going to give a long speech because what I really want to do is have a conversation with some outstanding young people who are part of our panel, and we're going to introduce in a moment. But I do want to begin by offering some opening thoughts about the time in which we gather here today. And I'm going to start with the British people's decision to leave the European Union, the vote that took place yesterday. Just a few hours ago, I spoke with Prime Minister David Cameron. David has been an outstanding friend and partner on the global stage, and based on our conversation, I'm confident that the UK is committed to an orderly transition out of the EU. We agreed that our economic and financial teams will remain in close contact as we stay focused on ensuring economic growth and financial stability. I then spoke to Chancellor Merkel of Germany, and we agreed that the United States and our European allies will work closely together in the weeks and months ahead. I do think that yesterday's vote speaks to the ongoing changes and challenges that are raised by globalization. But while the UK's relationship with the EU will change, one thing that will not change is the special relationship that exists between our two nations. That will endure. The EU will remain one of our indispensable partners. Our NATO alliance will remain a cornerstone of global security, and in a few weeks we'll be meeting in Warsaw for the NATO summit. And our shared values, including our commitment to democracy and pluralism and opportunity for all people in a globalized world, that will continue to unite all of us. And that is the work that brings us here today. The world has shrunk. It is interconnected. All of you represent that interconnection. Many of you are catalyzing it and accelerating it. It promises to bring extraordinary benefits, but it also has challenges, and it also evokes concerns and fears. And so part of why this Global Entrepreneurship Summit has been so close to my heart, something that I've been so committed to, is because I believe all of you represent all the upside of an interconnected world, all the optimism and the hope and the opportunity that interconnected world represents. But it's also important in these discussions to find ways in which we are expanding and broadening the benefits of that interconnection to more and more people. And that's what so many of you are doing. You know, we're gathered here at Stanford in the heart of Silicon Valley, which is one of the great hubs of innovation and entrepreneurship, not just for America, but for the world. This is a place that celebrates our ability as human beings to discover and learn and to build, to question, to reimagine, to create new ways to connect and work with each other. It's where two guys in a garage, Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard, launched a global company, where student projects became Yahoo and Google. Those were really good student projects. My student projects weren't as good. It's where entrepreneurs, like so many of you, get an idea and you build a team and you work to turn it into reality, and you launch products and companies and entire industries that transform the world. That's the power of entrepreneurship. And it's never been more important. In today's world, where our economies have undergone dramatic shifts, where businesses don't stop at borders, where technology and automation have transformed virtually every industry and changed how people organize and work, entrepreneurship remains the engine of growth. That ability to turn an idea into a reality, a new venture, a small business that creates good-paying jobs. It puts rising economies on the path to prosperity and empowers people to come together and tackle our most pressing global problems, from climate change to poverty. When people can start their own businesses, it helps individuals and families succeed. It can make whole communities more prosperous and more secure. It offers a positive path for young people seeking the chance to make something of themselves, and can empower people who have previously been locked out of the existing social order, women and minorities, others who aren't part of the old boys network. Give them a chance to contribute and to lead. And it can create a culture where innovation and creativity are valued, where we don't just look at the way things have always been, but rather we say, how could things be? Why not? Let's make something new. The Spirit speaks to something deep inside of all of us, no matter who we are, what we look like, where we come from. You look out across this auditorium, you're all of different backgrounds and cultures and races and religions. Some of you are from teeming cities, others are working in small rural villages. But you have that same spark, that same creative energy to come up with innovative solutions to old challenges. And entrepreneurship is what gives people like you a chance to fulfill your own dreams and create something bigger than yourselves. We live in a time when more than half the world is under the age of 30. And that means we've got to make sure that all of our young people around the world have the tools they need to start new ventures and to create the jobs of the 21st century and to help lift up entire populations. And so many of you are already doing this. As I travel around the world, one of the extraordinary things that I had the opportunity to do is to meet young people in every region and to see the problem solving and the energy and optimism that they're bringing to everything from how to generate electricity in environmentally sound ways in remote places that are off the grid right now, to how do you employ women in remote areas who all too often have been locked out of opportunity. You just see enormous creativity waiting to be tapped. And part of our job, part of this summit's job, is to make sure that we're putting more tools, more resources into the hands of these folks who are changing the world, and making sure that all of you know each other so that you can share best practices and ideas and spread the word. Now, I know that the daily reality is not always as romantic as all this. Turns out that starting your own business is not easy. You have to have access to capital, you have to meet the right people, you have to have mentors who can guide you as you get your idea off the ground. And that can be especially difficult for women and young people and minorities and others who haven't always had access to the same networks and opportunities.
You deserve the same chance to succeed as everybody else. We got to make sure that everybody has a fair shot to reach their potential. We can't leave more than half the team on the bench. That's why we've invested so much time and effort to make sure that America is helping to empower entrepreneurs like you. So we held our first summit back in 2010. Since then, we've brought entrepreneurs like you together in Turkey and the Emirates and Malaysia, Morocco, Kenya, and all told, we've helped more than 17,000 entrepreneurs and innovators connect with each other, access capital, find mentors, and start new ventures. 17,000. I think of the Tanzanian startup that helps farmers reduce their harvest losses, or the company in Nepal that's helping to improve charity health care. There are 11 Cubans who are here today, the first Cubans to join us at one of these summits. Hola. Mucho gusto. They're ready to help create new opportunities for the Cuban people. Where are they? There they are. I want to thank Antonio Gracias, a leader in private equity and one of our presidential ambassadors for global entrepreneurship, because his support was critical in bringing these young Cuban entrepreneurs here. So that's deserving of a hand. I'm also pleased to announce that we have a new group of business leaders signing on as entrepreneurship ambassadors. This is something that we started as part of the summit, and they have put their time, energy, effort, and in some cases their money behind entrepreneurs around the world. So some of our new ambassadors: Sarah Blakely, CEO of Spanx; Jane Werwan, CEO of Dermalogica; Stephen Jurvetson, partner at Draper Fisher Jurvetson; and Patrick Collison, CEO of Stripe. Now, supporting entrepreneurs isn't just something we do around the world, it's also a key part of how we create jobs and fuel innovation here in the United States. And it's why we're working with communities to streamline the process for launching a company. Startup in a day. It's why we're expanding Innovation Corps, our program to equip more scientists and engineers with entrepreneurial skills. And it's why at this summit, dozens of top tech companies, from giants to startups, are committing to make their technology workforces look like America, including by publishing data on diversity each year and developing the tech talent of people from all backgrounds. We're very happy for the commitments that they've made, so give them a big round of applause for that. Here at this summit, we're also building on our progress with new commitments from government and business and philanthropists. So at last year's Paris Climate Talks, for example, Bill Gates and other top global investors committed to partnering with governments to invest in cutting-edge clean energy solutions. Today, we're launching an initiative to connect some of these global investors and others with clean energy entrepreneurs from developing countries. We're also announcing the Young Transatlantic Innovation Leaders Initiative, which will bring 200 of Europe's innovators to the United States each year to develop their skills. And we've got organizations like Endeavor, which supports entrepreneurs, starting a $100 million fund to invest in companies across Latin America and the Middle East, in Africa and Southeast Asia. Investment firms like Capria Ventures, which will help fund international startups. So these are just a handful of the commitments, and I suspect new ventures that are going to come out of this year's summit. So, all of you budding entrepreneurs, don't be shy while you're here. Talk to the experts, make your pitch, network with potential investors, find that mentor who might help you navigate through a tough patch. Connect with your fellow innovators, because ultimately the world needs your creativity and your energy and your vision. You are going to be
what helps this process of global integration work in a way that is good for everyone and not just some. I've spoken about this before. I believe we are better off in a world in which we are trading and networking and communicating and sharing ideas. But that also means that cultures are colliding, and sometimes it's disruptive, and people get worried. You're the bridge, you're the glue, particularly the young people who are here, who can help lead towards a more peaceful and more prosperous future that provides opportunity for everybody. And because this is about more than just this one event, or for that matter, this one president, we're going to make sure that the United States continues to help developing the next generation of entrepreneurs. We are very proud to announce that next year's Global Entrepreneurship Summit will be hosted in India. Got the Indian contingent in the house. I'll try to stop by if I'm invited. But the point is, I believe in you, and America believes in you. And we believe that you have the talent and the skills and the ambition not just to pursue your dreams, but to realize them, that you can lift up not just your own families, but communities and countries, and create opportunity and prosperity and hope for decades to come. That's the promise that we see in all of you. And that is the promise that we see in our outstanding panelists that you're going to hear from. Mai Medat of Egypt, who's a software engineer who started a company called Eventus, which is a one-stop online shop for people who organize events. Jean Bosco Nizeyimana of Rwanda, who's the founder and CEO of Habona Limited, a company that uses biomass and waste to develop eco-friendly fuels that are used in rural Africa. Mariana Costa Checa of Peru. Mariana is the founder of Laboratoria, which gives young women from low-income backgrounds the education and tools they need to work in the digital sector. And if that lineup's not enough, you also see it in a guy that you may have heard of, who has done pretty well for himself, the founder and CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. They're the real experts. Let's welcome them on stage, and we'll start having a conversation with them. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're proud of you. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
All right. There's a good-looking group. And I could not wear a T-shirt like Mark for at least another 6 months, but I will take off my jacket so that I don't look too formal.
Soon.
Soon. It's going to happen soon. So, yeah, sit down, everybody. Relax. So, these are some extraordinary entrepreneurs. Some are just getting started. Some seem to be moving along pretty well. But I thought this was wonderfully representative because it's from different regions of the world. It's companies that are at different stages. And maybe we can just start by having everybody introduce themselves, describe a little bit about what they're doing. And then we can sort of have a discussion about what's been easy, what's been hard, how can government policy like the U.S. government policy help in advancing some of these issues? How can other countries' governments, because we have 20 representatives from other governments participating in this summit, how should they think about encouraging entrepreneurship? And then most importantly, how can other businesses and venture capital, et cetera, think about some of these international opportunities? So, Mai, why don't we start with you and tell us, I was hearing some of the great work you're doing. Tell us more about it.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. I'm a software engineer. I have an engineering background. One day I heard that the first startup weekend is happening in Cairo. And I was not invited, but I went anyway with my friend. I went with my friend Nihal. She was invited, and she turned out to be my co-founder. And we were there just to learn about startups, meet mentors and other entrepreneurs. But it was very hard to network and meet people during the event. We felt like there is a gap between the organizers and the attendees. And then a week after, we attended TEDx Cairo, and we had the same experience. We felt like there should be a better way for organizers to organize events and for the attendees to experience events. Everyone is there for networking, connecting people, and sharing experience. So we did our research, and we were very passionate about the idea. We felt like we can do something in the event space. So we quit our jobs, and we started working on this full-time before even having the name of Eventus. And now we have a full engagement and networking platform for events. It's a very interactive app with 86% engagement in most of our events. So we're helping people getting together during events. And now we have a great team, 2 offices in Cairo and Dubai, and we're working with most of events in our region. When I look back on the journey, it wasn't easy at all. It was very challenging. It was very exciting as well, but it was full of ups and downs. And we started before even the first accelerator in Egypt to start. We had few mentors back then, but now we have a number of amazing startups, a number of mentors and support organizations who are working together to build the ecosystem. So I can see the ecosystem has grown very well, but we still have a lot to do.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jean Basco.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. So when I was growing up in the rural villages in Rwanda, I used to spend countless hours in the forest collecting firewood for my parents and fetching water. And that was not just me, but dozens of other children in Africa are facing the same challenges. They are involved in laborious activities to help their parents just to prepare their meal instead of going to school. So as I was growing up, I kept thinking about something that I can do to help these families have access to other alternative fuels that they can use to replace charcoal wood that they have been using for many years. So I came up with an idea of an integrated waste management approach, whereby we collect waste and then we turn them into affordable and environmentally friendly products in form of briquettes and biogas that the people can then use. And that is like a green cooking fuel, which can improve health and sanitation in homes. As we started, it has been 2 years, and we have employed more than 25 people, giving them permanent jobs, and we are trying to expand to other areas of the country so that we can continue to improve sanitation, as well as providing this kind of alternative fuels, which can improve health and mitigate climate change in the country and Africa in general.
Excellent.
It's an honor to be here. I'm still trying to get over the fact that you just introduced me. I'm so happy. So I lead Laboratoria. We are a social enterprise, and I started it in Peru 2 years ago. We are now in Peru, in Chile, and Mexico. And what we try to do is to go out and find talent where nobody else is looking for it. So we try to identify young women who haven't been able to access quality education or job opportunities because of economic limitations, and train them to become the most awesome web developers they can be and connect them with employment opportunities in the tech sector. Something that I realized is that when our students join our program, most of them are completely unaware of their potential, and they come thinking that it's going to be really hard to break this vicious cycle of low-skilled employment, underpaid employment, or just domestic work. But they soon start learning to code, and it's just such a powerful skill set. A few weeks into the program, they start building their first websites, their first apps, their games, and showing them to the world, and it's so empowering. And 6 months after joining, they're ready to go out and join the workforce. So we have students who get 3 job offers from the coolest companies in town. They go out, they get to decide where they want to go and work. They triple their income, so they significantly improve their economic circumstances. They start supporting their families. And I think most importantly, they start realizing that anything is possible if they work hard enough for it, no? And we have students that have gone from working at a corner shop in a slum to working at the IDB in Washington as developers, a few blocks from the White House. So really, they are an example that anything is possible, no? And they're changing not only their lives, but they're changing their communities, their cities, and I think they are transforming the tech sector in Latin America. They are bringing the diversity and the talent that the sector needs to really become a leading force in our economies. And I'm pretty sure that as we continue to grow and reach thousands of women in the region, they are going to change our countries for the better, and making sure that we can actually base our growth on the most important thing that we have. That's our young talent.
That's great. Now, when we were talking backstage, I had been reading about this, and I said 60% of the women who had gone through this program now were employed, and I was corrected. It's now 70%. I had old data, but I think it's important to point out that your success rate has been quite extraordinary already. So
thank you.
It's wonderful. Mark, when there was a time when you were sort of in their shoes, but now, obviously, Facebook's success has been extraordinary. But I'm sure that you still can connect with the stories that are told here and some of the stories out there. How's Facebook thinking about its own role in creating this platform for entrepreneurship around the world? I know that's something that you've been thinking a lot about.
Well, it's really inspiring to be here with so many great entrepreneurs, and to hear about all the work that you're doing, and it's an honor. So thanks for having me. To me, entrepreneurship is about creating change, not just creating companies. And the most effective entrepreneurs who I've met care deeply about some mission and some change that they're trying to create, and often they don't even start because they're trying to create a company, right? And that's how I think about my connection to all of us here is when I was getting started, I cared deeply about giving everyone a voice, right? And giving people the tools to share everything that they cared about, and bringing a community together. And it started small in one university, and I didn't think it was going to be a company at the time. As a matter of fact, I was pretty convinced that at some point someone would build something like this for the world, but I thought that would be some other company that already had thousands of engineers and was used to building stuff for hundreds of millions of people around the world. And what ended up happening was that no one built it, right? So we just kind of kept on going, right? I mean, people said at each step along the way, what you're doing, all right, maybe college students like it, but no one else is going to like it. And, there's not going to be any money in doing this. So, all right, so you only really do it if you care, right? If you're passionate about doing it. And then it started growing, and people said it would be a fad and it would never be a good business. But, you keep going because you care, not because you're trying to create a business. And then there's the shift to mobile, where people thought that it wouldn't be a sustainable business. And through each of these things, the entrepreneurs who I think build things that last for a long time keep going because they care fundamentally about the change that they're trying to create in the world, and they're not in it just to build a company. And I carry that with me today. So today we have. We live in a world with more than 7 billion people, but more than 4 billion of us are not on the internet. And, we talk about having an equal opportunity to be able to create a change in the world, and I think that's a really hard thing to do if if you don't have access to some of the basic infrastructure and technical tools that are necessary to build this kind of these kind of technical products. So, I kind of think about what we're doing today very similarly to how I thought about where we were at the beginning. I get people all the time who come to me and say, all right, well, you're investing billions of dollars in trying to put internet connectivity in places where we don't get paid for it. It's not something that we'll make any money from for a very long period of time if it works out. But it's this deep belief that you're trying to make a change, you're trying to connect people in the world, and I really do believe that if you do something good and if you help people out, then eventually some portion of that good will come back to you. And you may not know up front what it's going to be, but that's just been the guiding principle for me in the work that we've done. And I hope that some of the work that we do can play a role in empowering you and so many more entrepreneurs to build the next great companies.
Excellent. So for the three budding entrepreneurs, you've already had some success and positive feedback, but I know that it's still hard sometimes and frustrating. And let's go back to the earlier question that I asked. What do you find to be some of the biggest hurdles for your success? And are there policies that either your governments could be pursuing or that the United States, in conjunction with your governments, could be pursuing that would really make this process, if not easy, then at least a little bit smoother? And are there questions or concerns that you have in terms of how more established businesses like Facebook, how they might be able to interact with startups like yours? So why don't we'll go in reverse order this time. Why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so I think there's been many challenges along the way. On our case, we try to disrupt many preconceptions, I think. So at the beginning, many people were like, how are you going to train people in months, and get them a job? How are you going to get young women who went to a public high school that's not very good to actually become competitive in the labor market? And I think luckily we've overcome those, and we've proved that they are incredibly talented, that you can learn in months instead of years. Right. And most of the companies that hire our developers actually rehire, so they've realized that they're great, and they're as competitive as anyone else who comes from a different background. So I think that's been very, very encouraging on our way. And I mean, the little secret that I have, I think, being a social entrepreneur is that motivation is everything, and when there's bad times and where we are not making the end of the month to pay all our people, and when we're facing all these challenges, I usually just go into the classroom. I'm like, okay, let me go into the classroom, and I talk to the girls that study with us, and it's just, they are the main force behind not only myself but all my team, my partners and all my team, because they are fighting so hard to making it happen. They are traveling, sometimes commuting 4 hours a day to come and go back. They have, on top of their studies, a lot of domestic responsibilities, and they're proving that it can be done. So that's always a reality check to say, I have everything I need to keep going at this.
Mm-hmm. Good. John Mosca.
Great. I think one of the most biggest challenges that I have faced was because I started this company very, very young. At that time I was 19 years old, and in my culture it is believed that those great initiatives are started by old people, and those things which have been difficult for older people cannot be possible for young people. So I tried to disrupt that status quo, and I created this company. But of course, during that period, no one was even trusting me so that he can be my employee. So I had to be my own marketer. I had to be the technical boss. I had to be everything in the company so that I can build that kind of first impression, so that I can impress few people to come to me and help me run this course. And the other challenge that we were facing is that a lot of financial institutions didn't even know what we were talking about, because these are the kind of renewable energy that we wanted to bring to Rwanda. And you would find a lot of folks working in banks asking you, what are you trying to do? Because they don't even understand what you are doing. It was like very difficult for them to analyze and calculate the risk that might be involved in the activities that we are trying to do. But because I trusted my solution and this kind of thing that I want to do to my community, I kept pushing, applying for different competitions, and luckily I won the United States Africa Development Foundation grant to start this initiative. And when I started, people started to see how you can take advantage on waste that you already have to produce some products which can then go back in communities and be solutions which can improve lives of many people. And then from there, people started coming. But the lesson that I learned from that very basic experience is that no matter what you're trying to do, necessary is that you are having that kind of motive in your mind that you want to help your society move forward. So the policies and the other partners, stakeholders will come along the way to help you run that initiative. But that will happen once you start. If you don't start, no one will come and join you.
Good. So we've heard... no, it's interesting. I mean, part of what the two of you have described is, first of all, each country has its own culture, and there are going to be sometimes some cultural barriers, whether it's attitudes about women and what they can do, whether it's attitudes about young people and how seriously they take a young person. Yeah, Mark had to deal with that a little bit, but here, obviously, in the United States, and particularly in Silicon Valley, I think that's begun to change. But there's also just basic issues like financing and having access to capital, particularly when it's a new idea and it doesn't fit the existing models that the banks or other financial institutions may have. Do those kinds of challenges resonate in your experience? And how did you navigate through those?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think all the entrepreneurs, like everywhere in the world, we share the same challenges. I think I did almost every single mistake that you read about in every startup-related book. I learned everything the hard way. So yeah, it's a learning process. It's funding was one of the challenges, of course. The other one was the legal system and the legal structure, especially in Egypt. It's not startup friendly. So you have to do a lot of workarounds and you have to be persistent to get over that. Building a team as well, and like, I'm a woman, I started, I was young, and...
You're still young, I think.
Yeah.
I think you qualify as young.
So yeah, I had almost the same challenges. It's, I would say that the only thing that keeps us going is believing in our idea, believing that we can do something, we can add value to people's life. And this is the only thing that keeps me walk every day in the morning and go to work.
Yeah. Well, look, all of you just are expressing what Mark said, which is it starts with a passion. If you start off just saying, I want to make money, but there's no clear mission behind it, then when you start hitting some of these barriers, sometimes it's very hard to push through them. With respect to some of the barriers that you're talking about, the U.S., in connection to the Entrepreneurship Summit, what we've been trying to do is take best practices and learn lessons about what's working and what's not. And so, in the grants that we're providing, or the training that we're providing. What these summits have been really useful in doing is hearing directly from entrepreneurs and say, this program doesn't work as well as it could. This one works really well. What we're also trying to do, though, is encourage governments to listen and hear from entrepreneurs to build a different kind of culture. So the point you made, Maya, about how hard is it to get a business started, right? How much paperwork do you have to fill out? What kinds of fees do you have to pay? How much bureaucracy do you have to sort through? That's something that here in the United States we've had to deal with ourselves, and what we've tried to do is to both simplify processes but also use technology in ways that means you don't have to travel across town in Cairo to go to an office and the person you need to see isn't there, and then you have to travel back and reschedule the next day, and the traffic's terrible and it's driving you crazy. If you can go on the net and do a lot of that work ahead of time, that can make a huge difference in accelerating the process that you're doing. And so I'm very glad that we have 20 countries represented here, because part of what we're doing is getting commitments from those other countries to say, we're going to learn from each other and figure out how we can streamline these efforts so that we're making life a little bit easier for young people like you.
Yeah, actually, when we started, we didn't know where to start from. Like, we couldn't find any information online, for example, on how to get the company registered in Egypt. We didn't know any startup lawyers or anyone who can register the company for us. So we had to go ourselves and ask for help from other people, and we couldn't find any information. It took us so much time, efforts, and money.
Yeah. Well, even here in the United States, where it's much easier to do business, we still have 16 agencies that are in charge of doing business. We've tried to streamline them into one. It requires congressional action. So so at least what we've tried to do is to consolidate the websites so that it's easier to get the information, even though you still have to deal potentially with 16 different agencies for different needs. So there are specific things that the government can do to be more entrepreneur friendly. How can companies like Facebook or Google or some of the venture funds that are represented here, how should they think about finding good ideas? What sorts of mentorship or training would you find most helpful? Obviously, having experienced entrepreneurs or people who've seen startups in the past maybe can help you avoid a few of the lessons. And part of the goal of the summit here is to build these networks so that that kind of mentorship is available. But Mark, I know that Facebook's already doing some of these issues. Tell us about some of the things that you're excited about, and then maybe we can hear from them about other networking opportunities that they'd be looking for.
Sure. Well, we have a developer program all over the world where we go around and it's called FB Start, and we give entrepreneurs free access to tools, and some of them, a lot of the tools that people can use are free from Facebook and other places. But in order to help get started with businesses, we give to different companies tens of thousands of dollars worth of Facebook tools to get started. But it's also important to help people learn how to use the tools. So we do these entrepreneurship workshops around the world and for both people who are starting to create technical companies, but also for small businesses, which are, I think, an important part, maybe less the focus of this summit. But that's a huge part of what we try to do around the world and help people get on the internet and connect with people that they're trying to sell their products to. And we have more than 50 million small business pages that are on Facebook, and a large number of them use it as their primary presence for communicating with people and attracting new customers. So that's a pretty good basic tool that's out there. The biggest thing that I'm personally focused on is connectivity, though. I mean, I think for you guys, and we talked about this a little bit backstage, I think you're mostly in places that have reasonable connectivity. I mean, you were talking about how, sometimes when you go home, it's not so good. But in general, I think for a whole nother big population wave of folks, this really is a blocking factor. Right? I mean, if you grew up and you've never used a computer or you've never had access to the internet, it's often hard to even imagine what you're missing out on. So, this is a local problem that I think we, need to do a better job of empowering folks in different countries to be able to spread connectivity. I mean, this isn't something that, the U.S. or some American company can come in and do. In the places where it's worked, it's been in partnership with local companies and local entrepreneurs and local governments. And that's also something that I'd love your guys' advice on, how you think we could be doing a better job of spreading connectivity to enable not just you guys, but other entrepreneurs who haven't even had the opportunities that you have had to build things as well.
Well, tell us what's happening in Peru in terms of connectivity, and how does that connect with creating the supply for all these wonderful young women that you're training? Obviously, things are growing. But speak to Mark's point about how you see things unfolding, both in Peru and in Latin America over the next several years.
First of all, Facebook is such an amazing tool for us because we often target women who have had limited access to the digital world as a whole, but no matter where you go, Facebook is there, I think that young people today initiate their digital lives through Facebook. So every single girl in our program, even though they don't have email and they have a limited use of the internet, they have a Facebook account.
Well, Mark's very happy to hear this.
Yeah.
I am.
And this is a great connection because it's a starting point, and we usually start on our events where we do awareness raising about our program and encourage young women to apply. We talk a lot about Facebook because this is a web app, and do you know what's behind it? And that's actually a very important thread in our communication. So thank you, it helps a lot. And in terms of connectivity, I think Latin America it's moving forward, but there's still many important challenges. As we were discussing before, the service is not often the best because there's very few companies in the market, and this brings some challenges, no? And we also have many of the Latin American countries are very centralized in the capital city or in the major cities where usually connectivity is not a problem, but as you get further away, it becomes a challenge, no? So I think it should definitely be a priority for our governments. In the case of Peru, I think the government is realizing that this is important, and I have to say we've been really lucky, both in Peru and in Chile. We've had support from the government because they realize that they not only need to expand access to digital services, but they also need to start bringing in more people to create digital products. We have a talent gap, and if we want to evolve and have more digital services, who's going to build them? So that's been really lucky on our side. And just one final point, I think it's crucial for entrepreneurs to work hand in hand with big companies and with government. I think that we entrepreneurs have the amazing advantage of being able to take huge, sometimes irresponsible risks, We can just go out and try new things all the time. And this is something that as you become larger, and if you're a government, it's way harder, no? So I think we have a role to play there in building new things, in creating new things, and I think when it comes to scaling up those things, these partnerships are essential to enable us to take what we've built and created and tested and tried to a larger scale.
I think that's a great point. So, for example, the kind of training you're doing, even with our entire education infrastructure here, we still have that same gap. Yeah. We initiated something through our administration called Tech Hire, where we're going into communities and cities that where people can't imagine that they could somehow be part of the tech industry. Yeah. And what we're finding is that through months of training, in some cases through a community college, in some cases companies who are joining with us, it turns out that you can train people very effectively. And as we prove concept, now we have the opportunity to scale up throughout the job training programs that already exist in the U.S. government. So I think you're making a terrific point that in the same way that your individual companies are taking risks, proving concept, and then trying to scale up in the private sector, part of what governments need to be doing is when they see something that is working, a tool, an app, a mechanism that saves time, makes something more convenient, makes a product more accessible to people, then we have to be prepared to change how we do business and potentially scale up as well. So you're right that it's hard sometimes for governments to take massive risks, but what governments can do is to partner with entrepreneurs, start small, work out the kinks, and then be able to back the process of scaling up in that way. So, Jean Bosco, any additional thoughts in terms of how not only Mark, but all these VCs out here can help you out? Make your pitch, man. Tell them how they can pull out their checkbook. And
Yeah, I think Facebook is doing a great job in terms of improving connectivities. And when you look at the situation in my country, we are really trying, but we still have a long way to go because connectivity is only available in cities, and although you can find it in villages, but it's not really fast, so that you can use it on some more activities like watching videos or sending heavy files to other people. So we are still having a challenge in terms of connectivity and a rapid internet. But what we're trying to do as small businesses is looking at the tools that big companies like Facebook offers, so that you can benefit from them, like using messengers to exchange messages with our potential customers. And, we use adverts to see how we can disseminate messages, because in my country, a lot of people don't know these kind of waste management things that we want to bring. And you see that in many places, people don't sort waste at the source. They just throw waste everywhere. But we are using this kind of technology to teach people that they have to sort waste from organic to non-organic, because this is beneficial in this way and this is harmful in this way. So we are trying to use these kind of tools to disseminate such image. And the challenge that we are still facing is the fact that, when you are still small, of course, you are having 10 years in front of you, so that you can attract attention from many people to come and join you. But depending on this kind of spotlight, exposure, support that you are getting from different people, we are trying to benefit from these kind of initiatives to disseminate the messages and bring attention of many people to what we're doing.
Good. Mike?
Yeah, I don't know where to start exactly. In Egypt, Facebook, we started a revolution out of Facebook. So Facebook was the only way we communicate during the revolution, and after that, and I believe I believe you have the numbers, but the Facebook penetration has grown tremendously since then, and it's a basic tool now. Like now, everyone in Egypt, they have Facebook, and we were just talking about Facebook Basics, and now it was blocked in Egypt. So I think there's a lot to do. And also, back to the connectivity thing, I think I'm praying now if, I'm not sure if my team and my family are watching this or not, because they can't live stream. I hope they are not seeing the
buffering?
The loading.
That's so irritating.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's very basic.
I hear you. If it makes you feel any better, it happens to me too.
Yeah, it's...
I thought, I'd have the best gear, but I'm just sitting there waiting.
Yeah, it affects the business as well. Now I moved to Dubai and I have to manage the team in Cairo, and it's very hard to communicate. It's very hard to do like a Skype call with the team or something like that. So we have to work around it. We have to pay a lot of money. Actually, I have been trying to get another line in the office for like 4 months now, and we still didn't get another line. So the network.
That's in Dubai.
That's in Egypt, in
That's
Cairo.
Cairo.
Yeah. No, Dubai is
better.
It's even, yeah, it's much more better. Yeah.
Well, look.
Yeah, they're doing an amazing job in Dubai. Yeah.
I mean, some of this is you raise a couple of important points. First of all, the huge opportunity here is for countries to leapfrog existing infrastructure. And obviously we see this in Africa, in India, places where mobile banking and payment systems have accelerated even more rapidly than they have here. Farmers using information to access prices to markets so that they're selling their goods at a decent price. So there's an infrastructure and connectivity function that governments can play. You're raising another question, an issue though, which is a sensitive topic in some countries, which is openness. Okay, it is hard to foster and encourage an entrepreneurial culture if it's closed and if information flows are blocked. And what we are seeing around the world oftentimes is governments wanting the benefits of entrepreneurship and connectivity, but thinking that top-down control is also compatible with that, and it's not. People remark on my 2008 campaign and how we were really early adapters of so much technology. It wasn't because I knew what I was doing. It's because a bunch of 20-year-olds came to me and said, hey, there's this new thing called MySpace, or,
Ouch.
And, that was just a little big there. But the point is that they had all this stuff that I had never heard of. And if I had tried to maintain control and say, no, we're going with, pamphlets, because I'm used to pamphlets, and I can control what's in the pamphlet, then I might not be sitting here. So, well, the same is true for governments as a whole. There is a cultural shift that is sometimes difficult that says we are empowering individuals and we are open to ideas. We are willing to admit new information that maybe contradicts our old preconceptions. We're willing to test those new ideas, and if they don't work, we're going to try something else. That's the connection between connectivity and the internet and science. Part of what has created all this, part of what Stanford is all about, is our capacity to say, we don't know. To say that all the received wisdom might not be right, and we're willing to test it. And that is threatening sometimes. It's threatening to governments, it's threatening to cultures, but that is the essence of discovery and innovation. And so one of the things that we've been trying to do and just encourage through the State Department is to gently and sometimes bluntly talk to governments about their need to maintain an openness and a confidence in their own people. Now, what makes it harder, admittedly, is the fact that the openness and the power of connectivity also can empower some bad people. And so us wrestling with how do we counter the sort of violent extremism that can end up poisoning the mind and resulting in what we saw happening in Orlando. That's a constant balance that we're trying to weigh. But what I worry about is people using that as an excuse then to
try to block things off and control the flow of information. And that's a question that I think young people are attuned to and are going to have to pay attention to, and all of us are going to have to fight for in the years to come. Well, this has been an extraordinary conversation. How are we doing on time? All right, we're all done, but I'm having so much fun. Give our panelists a big round of applause. Congratulations for the great work you're doing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. And I'm sure your family was watching.
I hope so.
If not, they'll be seeing it on the YouTube. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, we're very proud of what you're doing. That's terrific. We're going to go out this way, I think. Good. That was great.
Please welcome the Honorable Maria Contreras-Sweet, Administrator of the United States Small Business Administration.
Sit down. Let's take a seat. We've got a little more going on here, but thank you for your attention. President Obama, let's give him another applause. Woo! Wow. I think in every language we understand the word wow, wow, wow. Everybody seated? Settled? Uno, dos y tres. Uno, dos y tres. You know, somebody said that with a group you can do anything, so why don't we together as a group, when I say three, we'll say shh. Uno, dos, tres, 1, 2, 3. Shh. Thank you so much. But listening to these panels this morning assure me that the golden age of entrepreneurship has only just begun. Indeed, yes, exactly right, yes. It is just beginning, and the entrepreneurs like you in this room are the genesis of human progress. Recall Robert F. Kennedy, who famously said, "There are those who look at things the way they are and ask why, and there are those that dream of things that never were and ask why not." The people who have changed the course of history have always asked, why not? And each of you is here today because you have asked, why not? As one Korean entrepreneur here told me yesterday, while talent is spread equally around the world, opportunity is not. I'm here to ask you, why not? At your very core, you are driven by a desire to improve lives. You see a challenge and you build a solution. You have the audacity, as the president says, to create new realities and the confidence to overturn the status quo. Recently in Colombia, I met 2 entrepreneurs who developed advanced robotics to detect the landmines that were still killing people even after the conflict. In Kenya, the M-Pesa app is providing a financial system for those who wouldn't have access otherwise. If entrepreneurship, then, is a key ingredient for human progress, what happens when the path to starting a business is denied to so many? How many why nots? How many sketches, how many prototypes must have been tucked away if only half of American businesses are launched in only 4% of American counties? How many brilliant ideas never ever see the light of day in places where girls are denied the chance to get an education? Sadly, Too much genius remains untapped. But remember, we're entrepreneurs. We're entrepreneurs who can have the drive and the power to unlock this genius. We can build the systems to give the rise to economic development. We can be the leaders in both business and government that support the startup and the underdog. Together, we can take the spirit and the magic that we have here right now that we've harnessed in Silicon Valley, and we can spread it to all corners of the globe. Together, we can use our talents to broaden minds and broaden opportunity. Once that we're back from this amazing GES experience, and I know you're going to check out the amazing program that we have for you this afternoon, please go home and engage your communities. Please share what you have learned about how to launch, grow, and sustain your businesses. The reason I'm so passionate and committed to this work is because I started three different businesses, and my journey was quite painful. You see, I came here from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. I got here at the age of 5, and I can tell you that my mother couldn't get a job because she couldn't speak the language. And so she got the only job that she could get, working in a refrigerated poultry processing plant. I saw her work hard. I saw her, thank you. I saw her fingers thicken. I saw her legs stiffen. And I would write to my abuelita. I know you all have a grandmother like mine. And I would say, I don't understand why we left our beautiful home. But she said, you will see that these businesses, these small businesses, will change your life. And I do believe that you will experience prosperity. I believed my abuelita y sus consejos, her lovely advice. And so I hunkered down and I focused. And then eventually I started these 3 different businesses. The last one was a community bank. I started a community bank because here in California, I became California's Secretary of Transportation, and I was trying to build bridges and on-ramps, literal ones. But as I try to get more small businesses to do work with us, they said, we can't get capital, we don't know how to get contracts, and we need the counseling to sustain our businesses. And so I did what every entrepreneur does when they see a pain point. I started my own bank to be able to consult small businesses and give them the capital that I knew that they would need. I have to tell you that I still remember with great, great love my grandmother when she said that although we've been a family of migrant workers, that someday I might be able to work in an office and to be a secretary. Little did I know that I would hold office and be a cabinet secretary. Thank you. Yes, in this area of globalization, we are all connected. Progress in one corner of the globe reaches across oceans and borders and continents. So let's focus on what we have in common, our common struggle. Together, let's initiate, let's participate, let's communicate and create. Let us not forget to reach back and bring others along. Remember the important African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with a group. Let us also remember, as the Prime Minister of India, Gandhi, once said, the power to question is the basis of all human progress. So I hope that when I see you at the next GES in India 2017, that I will see new businesses with the name of Martinez, Gonzalez, yes, Patek, and Miss Gunto. I hope to see you, and I am sure that we will be successful in achieving what we've set out to do today. After all, why not? God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Please be advised that all of this afternoon's sessions will be delayed by 15 minutes. All of this afternoon's sessions will be delayed by 15 minutes. Thank you.